Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Club Junkie Podcast. I hope you're having a great week. We're back to Thursday, almost into the week, and unfortunately, it's looking a little nasty this week. I got to play a bunch and hit balls and stuff last week because it was so nice. This week, not looking so good. But hey, before we get into today's episode, just want to let you know this episode brought to you by Titleist and the brand new Pro V1 and Pro V1X golf balls. We all aspire to outperform the player we were yesterday. This takes practice, commitment, and trusting your golf ball will perform the way you need it on every type of shot. The Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1X offer advanced technology and performance that rewards your best swings and helps you shoot lower scores. Both models are exceptionally long, deliver consistent flight, and feature unrivaled control. Pro V1 is the best combination of distance, spin, and feel in the game and delivers a more penetrating ball flight, where Pro V1X, the ball I usually play, flies higher and spins more in the short game while still giving you low spin on longer shots to maximize your distance. Find out more about Pro V1 and Pro V1X, including which is the best choice for your game, at Titleist.com. So, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Yeah, it was a fun week, man. I got to play golf last week. I got to play golf for the weekend. I got to hit balls. It was great. So, and then I'm recording this on Wednesday evening, and I went out and hit balls again, and yeah, it wasn't as good. It was definitely a much cooler night. It was windy. I had to actually put bricks on my net in order to be able to, keep it from blowing over. It was like that windy. So, a little bit of a bummer there, but hey, it was all good. We definitely, like I said, got away with a nicer weekend full of golf, and got to go get out, play 18 with my brother and two of my brother, my brother-in-law, my wife's cousin. We got out and played, and it was a great time. So it happened to be my birthday as well. So got to go out and play golf on a nice sunny day, and it's a good way to celebrate your birthday. So thank you to my wife for letting me go and watching our daughter while I went and did that. It was definitely a slow round, that is for sure. I played actually. I didn't score great. Like if you look at the score, I shot 88. I went 45, 43, and the front nine I honestly played pretty well. I had a 9 and a par 5, and I honestly hit a great drive. I sat there and debated, as you're waiting, because it was a slow round. We went and played at Rackham, and if you've played at Rackham in Metro Detroit on a weekend, it is like one of the busiest courses in the world. It is slow. Like, expect 5-hour round is average. Like, that's just what you play. But anyway, we're waiting on a par 5. It's the 7th hole, and I hit a great drive, just bombed one right down the middle, and I had I had 220 into the wind. So I knew right around that, 220, 218, something like that, into the wind to the green. And the green is on the right, it's wide open, and then it because it's like a straight hole, and then the green is kind of just tucked behind some trees. Like, they just tuck it left behind these trees. And I was debating, like, all right, do I jump in? Do I hit 3-wood into the wind and try to get it on, or do I lay up, and just wedge it on? And I was like, I'm hitting the ball pretty well. I hit 3-wood pretty solid so far. So I basically waited for the green to clear, hit 3-wood, and try to choke down on it, whatever, and play this stupid shot and hit it into the trees on the left, and then basically had to punch out, which I caught a limb, had to hit it again, rolled off the green on the right, had to chip back on. It was just made a mess of that hole. Was basically next to the green in 2, and then just threw up on myself. So that was rough. And also, nobody made any putts. I mean, the greens were slow, bumpy, and just unpredictable, and that's fine. I mean, it's early March. They're not mowing, they're not cutting or mowing or rolling the greens. They're not smooth. They don't roll. And that was fine. So we didn't make any putts either. I think the only putt I made above tap in or 1 foot was, I think I made like a 6-footer on 18, kind of a right to left breaker to save like a bogey or something. It was not great, but no, I hit the ball pretty well. I drove it well. Brought 2 different drivers. I played the front 9 with Callaway Paradigm AI Smoke Triple Diamond, and I had the brand new Ventus in there. And then on the back 9, I played the TaylorMade QI10 standard head with the LA Golf DJ Series shaft in there. So hit both of them pretty solid. The QI10 with DJ Series definitely launched a little higher than I thought it would. It definitely had a higher window to it. Still carried a long way, and if it was downwind, man, that ball just it went forever. But then, the triple diamond wasn't, that setup was really, really good. Just hit some absolute bombs out there. I know on the second hole is a short, and everything else had like temporary, like moved up tees. They weren't letting you use the tee box. They basically put a tee box in front of the tee box on most of the holes. So that hole was super short. I think to the middle of the green, when I lasered the flag, it was like 287. I hit it like right to the front of the green, so it was like 260, whatever. I hit a great ball right down the middle. But yeah, I hit it really well. I was pretty happy. I had the Vega Mizar tours with the UST Dart 105s in them. Played those all around, and that was a really solid combo. Hit irons well for the first time in a little while. I've been struggling with the irons a little bit, and I hit some really solid iron shots. So yeah, but overall, I was pretty happy with how I hit it. I brought two putters. I brought the TaylorMade Spider Tour X, the prototype one with the milled face. I brought that I just put an LA golf shaft in. So I know a lot of you have been asking me in some of my Q&As on Instagram about the LA golf shaft. I just got one. The boys at LA Golf were very nice and sent me one, so thank you to them. So I put one in there, and I putted really well with that. And then I had the brand new Bettinardi BB1 Wide that just came out, the 2024 model, and that thing is really solid as well. So kind of put it on the front nine with the Spider, back nine with the Bettinardi, and just kind of swapped through some stuff. So it was kind of it was a fun round. But like I said, the score wasn't the number wasn't great, but I hit it better than that. Hit some really good wedge shots, and that was the thing. I mean, after like, I think the first two holes, or the second hole, I hit a good wedge shot there. I hit a little pitch shot, hit that really well. On number one, I basically hit I hit a wedge there. So yeah, I mean, really, I think there was maybe it was like three or something like that. I hit one poor wedge shot, and then after that, I was kind of like back in the groove. But I figured the short game would be a little rusty. I wasn't hitting it next to the pin or anything, but I was getting it on the green and making good contact and hitting some high spinning shots. So it was pretty good. But overall, it was a great round. I had a lot of fun, and it was great. So did that, and also got a little time with some stuff out on the course for real, which is always kind of my true test. I mean, I'll go out and hit it on my mat and use the either the Bushnell Launch Pro or the full swing kit, and I'll go to the range, I'll hit stuff, and that's great. But going to the range or going to the course and actually playing, and as I've said many times before, having one ball under that kind of pressure, that's where it really matters. So it was a good round on Sunday. So we'll get into today what we're going to talk about. And today we're going to talk about some new wedges. And these are going to be the brand new Ping S159s. I know a lot of people, these have been talked about quite a bit. The Ping S159s, brand new. Ping just released these a little bit ago. And as you can see, the 56 still got a little dirt on the old sole there. If you're watching this on YouTube, I think we just search Club Junkie Golf. It'll probably come up. But if you search Golf WRX Radio, you'll go right to there if you want to see me sitting behind my desk and just putting clubs up into the screen. And then also whatever podcast platform. If you're liking, subscribing, whatever, be awesome. So anyway, Ping S159s. These are the brand new wedges from Ping. I will be 100% honest here. I traditionally have not been a huge Ping wedge guy. It's not a performance, a quality thing, anything like that. It's just visually, I haven't really loved a lot of the wedges. Some of the glide stuff has looked pretty good, but overall, I've just never really gravitated towards Ping wedges, just because I prefer a slightly different look, and that's fine. I mean, everybody has kind of their idea of the perfect wedge and what it looks like and all that. And like I said, Ping was never in that category for me. They always performed well. I remember I messed with the Glide 2.0s and stuff like that. They're really good performing wedges. They just never really suited my eye as well as some other things. But when I first saw these S159s, I know we got some pictures from Tour when they originally hit. I was pretty impressed. The photos look really good. They look to be very traditional shaped. Have a really good classic look to them, and they do. I think Ping did a nice job with these. They've got a little bigger look than say the Pro Forged, which was super compact. These things are kind of a little more I'll say average sized. They're not really big, but they're not super compact as well. I think they fit a nice middle of the road from the look standpoint. Leading edge looks really solid. The leading edge is just slightly rounded in the 56, just a hair more rounded in the 60, but it's not nothing that's too aggressive. Overall, they're pretty straight leading edges, which is nice. I took it on the course, the 56H grind and the 60B grind, which are the two new grinds that Ping brought out this year. But they've expanded the soul grind options as well. So if you're somebody who hasn't found the right grind or from Ping, these wedges may now have it, which is kind of nice. They've also done a big Ping wedge fit kind of app for your phone and online that you can jump on and answer some questions, and it'll kind of give you some good guidance on which way to lean for their wedges. But I like the shape. They've got a good look. The toe's a little bit squared off, not too bad. It's just a touch more square. The very top, as you get kind of that top toe section, it's a little more rounded off. And so is that slope from toe down and back into the hosel. Just kind of a gentle slope there. And I think really pleasing to the eye. I like them. I think when you set them down, they definitely have you have some confidence there. When you look at the faces, heavily milled, the middles there, you can definitely see the milling marks out on the toe, all that. You could definitely tell that these things are flat and they are basically engineered for some spin. A lot of grooves on the face. They're not like, some wedges you look at it like Cleveland or, some of those. They've got a little bigger, wider groove. Ping went with more grooves and more but thinner grooves. Now, the only thing with that, to me, is that they do take a little bit cleaning off. So if you're not a person who carries like a brush or something with you, I would highly suggest maybe looking into carrying a small plastic bristle brush just to clean out some dirt and stuff if you play, if you play in, like it was muddy out. After every shot I hit, there'd be a decent amount of dirt kind of caked onto the face. So I'd kind of knock it off with my shoe and then kind of wipe it with my towel and then give it a little scrub with the brush. In normal conditions, when things get a little drier here, that probably won't be as big of an issue. But even with a wet, I carry like a wet terry cloth style towel, not the microfiber, but that traditional terry cloth. And it gets into the grooves decently, but it still left a little bit of debris here and there that the brush would easily take care of. Definitely go plastic. Don't go metal bristles. It wears down the face. Just go plastic, and it just gets them cleaned out. Doesn't do any damage. Won't have any long-term effect on anything. But no, thinner grooves. A lot of them. I know some people like when Nike did that long time ago, and Callaway did it a long time ago. Some people didn't like the look of the smaller groove with more of them. I didn't mind it. It was nothing that I basically even really noticed. But the Micro Max grooves that they do here, they do spin really well, but a lot of them on there, and they are tapered. So the 46 to 52, are a little bit bigger. I don't have that wedge. I just have the 5660. So they're basically the 54 to 62s are a little bit tightly spaced for more spin. And then you get into the back of it there. These are both chrome. I saw the black one as well. It looks really nice. They actually blend in kind of a small elastomer insert into the back of the cavity, and you don't really see it as much on the photos and stuff. It definitely blends in well. The way they colored it matches up to the chrome. Kind of the dulled chrome pretty well, but when you get to it, you can see it, and when you feel it, you can kind of push on it, and there's kind of elastomer there, and it's not metal or anything like that. Overall, though, clean on the back, a stamper's delight. I'm a stamp guy, and there is a lot of space in the back of this wedge to stamp it. You can also do some custom stuff from Ping with some laser etching and all that if you decide to go down that road. They do have a lot of those options, which is pretty cool. And then, the face, not only is it milled with the grooves, it's, they call it their friction face. So, adding spin and, sharper corners, all that stuff. But a really good looking wedge, really traditional, and I think really solid. I hit a few on my net before I took it out. As I was kind of warming up, hitting other stuff. So the past couple of weeks, I've been hitting a few shots off the mat. Spin numbers all really, really high. It does launch a little bit higher than, say, SM10s. I noticed that. Not so much for numbers, and when I got on the course, I noticed that it launches a little higher, but hitting off the mat, noticed that it had a good feel to it, really solid. When you strike it center, it's really soft. When you get away from center, you do notice a little more click, a little more audible than some other wedges. I would say it's just a touch louder on mishits and a touch firmer with a little bit more vibration on mishits than in some other wedges I've hit. But, off of mat and stuff like that, I feel like it does kind of amplify some of those sounds sometimes. And then, this here was built just stock. So it's at the stock Ping, Z115 or the ZZ115 wedge shaft, and I guess this has a little lower balance point for that kind of feel, and then it's got the kind of a Ping branded lambkin wedge grip that's a little longer than standard, so it gives you the ability to choke down a little bit, and it's also got a little less taper down in the lower hand, so you can choke down, hit little touch shots, and still not have to worry about like holding onto the shaft and things like that. But really nice package. As I said, they sent us some of the a blackhead or two as well, just in different lofts. So that's why I didn't take one of them out. But the blackhead looks really good. It's kind of like a real matte finish. But the chrome on this is nice and dull. It's kind of like a media blasted chrome and no glare whatsoever. When I played on Sunday, started off the day, it was kind of overcast. By the time we hit the back nine, it was really sunny out, and few clouds in the sky, but a lot of sun and zero glare whatsoever from these wedges. So play these out there. The first shot was hole one. Which if you're playing a Rackham is a par 5, and tee was up, so you basically got a little bit of help there, but hit a decent drive, just a little bit right, and I was kind of blocked out by a tree a little bit, so just played a little like 7-iron down the fairway, and I had 85 yards in, and 85 is about the max I hit a 56 degree. I just don't like hitting sand wedges and lob wedges full, just not something I do. So I pretty much 85, I mean, depending on conditions, maybe 90 is as hard as I hit it, and it's kind of like a 80% type swing. But hit the 56 there. Really soft feel, felt great coming off the face. Ball just jumped, went out, and actually hit and spun back a little bit. So the fairways weren't super tight. I mean, usually when there's a little bit of grass there, getting a ball to hit and spin back a little bit is, for me, not super easy to do. I mean, I'm a steep player, but I don't generate a ton of speed. And if there's something like a little bit of grass, or I'm in the a slight rough or a second cut, getting the ball to kind of hit and stop or just release a foot, I'm pretty happy with. But I was pretty shocked. Went up, hit, and I hit it just under the pin. It spun back a few feet, but overall, really good shot. I hit it just left of the pin, and I was pretty impressed with it. I like the feel of it. Through the turf, the H grind, even though it's only 10 degrees of bounce, and I usually play a little bit more than that, and the ground was fairly damp. The divot was just a little bit bigger. It wasn't too deep. The wedge actually kind of glided through pretty quickly through the turf, but it took a slightly bigger divot than, say, my SM10s or some of the higher bounce sand wedges I played last year. But overall, it was definitely a good shot there. Got to 2, like I said in the beginning of the show, hit a really good drive on 2, and just had like kind of a little 20-yard pitch shot right up in front of the green, right up. Hit a great little shot with this thing. Same thing with the 56. Just played it square, played it just a hair back in the stance, nipped it clean, and I tell you what, the spin on these things is really, really good, because even that shot there, it hit kind of like checked up, released maybe it's 5 feet, and I would think I was just above the hole, and ended up 2-putting and making par there. I feel like on a summer day I would have probably made birdie, but no, hit a really good chip shot, and again, the H grind there, a lot of trailing edge relief. But when you play it kind of square and pressed forward a little bit, you can easily get that leading edge under the ball. And again, the fairways were not super tight. They were a hair on the shaggy side, but in decent condition for early March in Detroit. So I'll take that. And then, we got to 3. I left it in the front side bunker, and I was kind of a little bit, I wouldn't say short-sided, but there wasn't a ton of room between me and the pin. So I usually am a 56 guy out of the trap. That's just the club I use. And here's the 60 there with that B grind. You can kind of see again a little bit of dirt on the bottom there. I didn't do the most perfect job cleaning it out. But the B grind, so that's when I pulled 60 out. The bunkers were a little rough, so I kind of kicked some sand around to make it level and set my ball there because it was sitting in a big old hole. But I do have to say the B grind, from when just seeing the photos and all that, I didn't realize it's decently wide sole. It's low bounce. It's 8 degrees, but it's actually got a decent amount of sole there. It's a kind of a good I wouldn't call it a pre-worn leading edge, but the way they bevel up towards the leading edge, it's kind of nice that you can kind of play this thing really square, even at low bounce, and it's not going to dig at all. But I had this thing out of the bunker there, and I actually caught a little more ball than I thought. The sand was a little firmer than I thought it was, and having that thing kind of wide open, I just didn't quite get behind it far enough. Caught a little ball and got it out, but it wasn't a great bunker shot. But that was more me just not knowing the condition. Later on, I had another bunker shot with this that, again, was a little bit short-sided, not a lot of green to work with. Opened it up and made sure I kind of hit behind the ball a little bit, like, that inch and a half, and hit a really good, solid shot. So the B grind out of the trap, really good, a lot of float. It definitely, even when you got into later in the round where stuff was drying out a little bit and the sand was a little bit more fluffy, it's still always a little heavy and compact around our place, or in Michigan, but we'll never get the light, fluffy sand like down in Florida or anything like that. But opening the face up on this thing definitely gives you some float out of the trap, and is definitely an easy club to hit out of the trap, even for having 8 degrees of bounce. But yeah, the 56 is the one I played kind of the most, but hit a lot of really good shots. I mean, whether it was kind of just off the green, little pitch shots out of the rough, or, some more closer to full shots, at that like 70 to 80 yard range. Any shot that I kind of hit, a lot of spin. Was really impressed with how well this thing spin. Whether it was, out of the rough, where a ball would just kind of hit and release just a pretty limited amount. I mean, it was, again, these greens aren't rock hard. They're soft. They're fuzzy. The ball's not rolling a ton, but just the amount that this thing stopped. I mean, even the guys that I was playing with were, one of the guys asked, he's like, how do you get the ball to stop and spin back like that? Because the shots I was hitting, especially further out, that 70, 80 yard range, hitting balls in there would hit and spin back a touch. Like, they weren't ripping off the greens, but they were hitting and basically coming back just a little bit. And, I kind of told him it's just the player. But no, but these things spun really well. Off the fairway lies, tight lies where there's no grass there, where you're going to get good, face to ball contact. Really, really high spin. And especially if you're hitting more fuller shots, they definitely come in hot. They hit and they stop hard. Even out of the rough, kind of around the greens. On that hole, that par 5 that I made a mess of on the front, number 7. Like I said, I hit into the trees, had to punch it out, try to get it on the green. I hit it, rolled through, and I was on the rough on the other side. And it's a pretty steep drop off, but the ball stopped just probably a few, like 4 or 5 feet into the deeper rough, and the pin was kind of sitting back. And I actually, the shot I hit, I actually thought I hit pretty solid. I hit it solid, but I hit it, and I expected the ball to hit and kind of roll out. And it hit kind of on top of the hill and just stopped. And I was kind of shocked because everything kind of rolls away, and the pin was up there, and I thought I actually hit it in the kind of the right spot to get the ball to hit, release, and kind of get somewhat close to the hole, and it just checked right up. And I was really impressed that, I was kind of angry at the time, but looking back on it now, really impressed with how well it spun out of the rough, because, after you hit it looking down, and there's a big, green spot where the grass and all that was kind of, dissipated through the grooves. But out of the rough, it spun really well. It was really consistent. I mean, by the time I got to kind of the back nine, all that, like, I was kind of knowing, like, you've got to hit it to the hole. Today, the way the conditions are, with the greens the way they are, with the amount of spin this thing's playing, you're definitely going to hit it to the hole. Don't hit it short and let it release up or anything like that. It just wasn't going to do it. So that's what I was doing all day. Finally, I got used to it, and I was kind of hitting some really good wedge shots near the end of the day. On 18, I actually thought my ball was I missed left of the green. I was just short in the left, because 18 it's like the hardest hole in the course. It's a really long par 4, all uphill. And there's a big bunker like 30 yards in front of the green. So if you hit it into that bunker, you're like, oh, I'm greenside bunker. No, you're way back. But I hit a kind of a poor drive. I punched out, and then I hit like my 4-iron up the hill. But I kind of drew it, so I was just short left. And I thought I was like really close, and I ended up being just a little bit further back. So I basically, when I lasered it, I was, I think, 100 yards instead of, what I thought was going to be like 60. So I was back a little bit further, and I only brought the 56. And I was like, well, I'm going to have to step on this, because, it was a little bit into the wind. It's a little bit uphill, and this is the only wedge I brought, and I wasn't going all the way back to the cart. So I had a good lie. It was like actually just on the edge of the tee box for the 16th hole. And I just stepped on it and hit it kind of as hard as I could. got it to, I came up short of the flag, hit the front of the green, but spun it basically all the way back off. And that was the time my brother-in-law was like, how do you do that? And I was just like, well, it's kind of a speed thing, whatever. Like, I wasn't trying to do it, let's put it that way. But again, just proving that these things spin really, really well. The H grind on the 56, I thought was really good. I think it plays a little bit more than 10 degrees of bounce because, like I said, it was pretty soft conditions the whole day. I mean, everything out there, it had rained a few days before prior, out there, so everything was soft. But the thing gets through the turf really quickly. The way that Ping has this thing set up, the way the bounces, the leading edge hits. It gets into the turf a little bit, and then it just kind of glides right through. And while the divots, again, were a little bit bigger than some other higher bounce sand wedges, I didn't have to be as delicate as I thought I had to be with it. Playing it square, playing more full type square face shots, it performed really, really well, and got through the turf very quickly. Really smooth action through the turf. It was kind of that buttery feels. It just kind of hit and just slipped through, and you were done. Next thing you knew, you were out, and everything was good. And then opening the face on this was pretty good. I mean, with that, there's a decent amount of trailing edge relief on the heel and on the backside. So played a few kind of, I won't say wide open because I don't play a wide open 56, but just slightly open shots, hitting little shots around the green. It worked really well. The leading edge doesn't come up too high. Again, we don't play super firm and tight, so if the leading edge comes up a little bit, we're still pretty good. But opening it up gives you some versatility, and it was able to play those shots really, really easily. I had a couple of those where, just off the green, opened it just a tough touch to try to get a little added spin and a little extra height, but it came out, really, really well, and it allowed you to open that up, and that leading edge stayed down. It didn't visually come up too much where you're worried about, I have to get steep and get down under it. You could take your normal swing and kind of play that normal shot. But I like the H grind a lot. It was better than I thought. When I brought it out, I was a little worried that I was going to struggle with it, that I was going to have to mentally shallow out the swing and hit the ball differently than I usually do. And I didn't. I just played my normal wedge shots, and it performed really, really well. So for 10 degrees of bounce on a 56, it plays like it has a little bit more. And I think it is when it's square, it definitely plays with the full amount of bounce, kind of the full soul. And when you open it, you definitely get that trail, that leading edge to stay down. But overall, you can press it forward, get the leading edge down tight to the ground, get under the ball with no problem. On full shots, definitely comes out a little bit higher, as I said earlier, than, say, my SM10s. Now, again, a little different sole design. I mean, I've got a higher bounce wedge there, but hitting it solid, hitting it center, definitely comes out a little bit higher. It's a little more, I'll call it a traditional-looking wedge shot. I know a lot of these wedges are now trying to flight stuff crazy down, but this thing comes out just a little bit higher. Nothing too crazy, though. It doesn't go straight up and straight down. I know you could probably, kind of go to a fitting, get it maybe slightly different, lower launching shaft, something like that. But it definitely has a little higher launch to it than, say, my SM10s. But you can still flight it down. You can still play it back a little bit. I had a couple shots where, that one under the trees on 7, I kind of played it back a little bit and just trying to kind of hit a lower shot out. I was easily able to kind of flight that thing down and hit a little more penetrating shot into that green. Even though it went over the green, I was still able to kind of control the trajectory pretty easily with the 56. But overall, I was really impressed with it. Like I said, the feel was really good. When I hit it pretty center all day. There was one shot with a 60 that I tried to hit some crazy kind of open face thing that I caught it really high toe. And you're going to feel that. It's definitely going to let you know that you hit that shot away from center, but hit that shot pretty well. And then the 60B, again, a little wider sole than I thought it was going to have. It doesn't have as much relief as I thought. It's got a little bit in the heel, a little bit in the toe, but for the most part, it's a pretty wide, full sole. But low bounce. If you're playing it square, it gets through the turf really easily. Like I said, that kind of front edge it's kind of angled down towards the bounce, and it just kind of keeps the wedge up above the turf. But playing some little higher lofted shots was really easy. Out of the bunker, I really liked it. I feel like if I had, if the B grind was in my bag, I'd probably play the 60 out of the sand more than I do now, which again is for me a 56. I feel like I would play this more out of the trap, just on a normal basis. Maybe, not just short-sided shots, maybe a little bit more standard length, greenside bunker shots I would still hit this on. I feel the square shots with this, hitting it kind of square shots around the green, which for me, this is man, I mean, I don't really have like a full yardage on it, but I would say, 50 yards is the most I'd ever try to hit this thing. But I feel like, a little more confident with that B grind playing it at 50 because, even though, again, it says 8 degrees of bounce on the sole, it seems to play a little bit more than that when you're actually hitting it, especially square. It doesn't, it'll dig, but if you come in a little bit more shallow, which for my 60 I usually do, it definitely hits and just kind of keeps itself above the turf and just kind of slides under the ball. It definitely doesn't play as delicate as 8 degrees, which to me, that is a very low bounce wedge for me. You'll almost rarely ever see an 8 degree or a single digit wedge in my bag. But this thing played, like I said, even square played a little bit like that. But the nice thing is, again, you could kind of press it forward, take a lot of the bounce out of it. And if you were, say you're on the fringe, you got to carry it over a little bit, like a little mound on the green, and you want to kind of like slow it down with some spin, easily to do that. And you could really get it down kind of on the turf with a shot like that without having it dig and catch and kind of slow the wedge down. You could hit it, it would glide across that turf, keep the speed up, and get that ball up and out and onto the target. But the 60 was again a little less versatile. If you're somebody who likes to really play wide open face shots, I don't know if the B grind's necessarily for you in here. I feel like the 60, if you're that type of player, the H grind might be a little bit more. Probably the H or the T would probably be a little bit more what you're looking for. The T might have even just a little bit more relief than the H. But the T or the H is going to allow you to kind of really lay that thing open. Leading edge won't come up and allow you to really manipulate the face around the green. If you're somebody who plays stuff a lot, really square with your 60 around the green, I think this B grind is really, really solid. I really like the grip as well. I think that grip, at first I kind of was like, I didn't really think anything about it. And then, realizing the choking down on some of the shots around the green, it is kind of nice to have that extra, I think it's like 3/4 of an inch of grip on there that you can kind of choke down and hit some shots. But much like the 56, the 60, really good feel to it, really soft. Pings did a nice job. I don't know if it's between material, the elastomer insert, whatever it is, but they did a good job dialing in the feel on this thing because it does have a good soft feel to it, and it is responsive, so if you miss it a little bit, you'll know. Spin high off the toe, it's not quite as good as some of the high toe stuff. Like there is when you look at this wedge, if you look kind of the side profile, there's a little more mass up at the top. You can see it kind of flares out up at the top toe where they move a little mass up there. But hitting it high toe, it'll come out with a little bit of spin, but it'll probably come up short of your target. I hit one kind of high. It was sitting up in the rough a little bit more than I thought. Got under it, hit it high on the toe. You can actually kind of, I don't know if you can actually see it on YouTube, but it was kind of up here, hit it high on the toe, caught it on the grooves, but just barely, and it definitely came up short. And didn't carry a ton of spin, so it just kind of splashed onto the green and stopped. So super high shots on the toe, you're not going to get away with those as easily as maybe like a high toe wedge or something like maybe the E grind that's got a little more mass up there, because they are making that kind of eye looking wedge in this that's got that big flared toe, a little more material out there. This one will make you pay for that a little bit, as I found out. But anything else, down in the kind of closer to center, all that really performed well. And the same thing with the 60. I hit this thing mostly out of the rough. I didn't hit too many tighter lie shots. And out of the rough, the spin was still good. You still saw a pretty repeatable release pattern coming out of there, and you could kind of trust that. You couldn't necessarily trust the green, that it was going to, bounce, go the way it was supposed to go. It was going to bounce and hop or whatever, but, you got it out of there. It came out with kind of the same velocity you expected, and it was going to hit that green and release a little bit. So I think getting both these wedges kind of onto more manicured greens later in this season, these things could be really, really good. But I was really impressed with the wedges. I think they did a really nice job with these. The 60 played definitely better than I thought with that wider sole. It was just, like I said, a wider sole than I thought, but it still played, really well. I think the H grind in the 56 is super versatile. I think the players who, play a little more moderate conditions with kind of, average to slightly steeper angles of attack are going to find this thing to be pretty versatile. A lot of them play a lot of different shots from a lot of different lies and conditions and stuff like that. So Pink did a nice job with these. Like I said, the sound and feel solid. The looks are really good. I liked them when I set them down. I always like looking down at it behind the ball. So Just a really good job by Ping, and these are probably some of the first Ping wedges that I've hit that I've would actually consider gaming for the year. So they're really solid. But yeah, I would definitely want to hit a 50 degree, just to see. I wonder what the full shots are like. But a lot of the fuller shots of the 56, have a little more height to them. But overall, just a really good wedge. So the S159 from Ping. If you go to ping.com, you can check them out. They also have, I think there's a little QR code on the wedge. If you're in a store, you can like jump on your phone and just scan it, and it takes you to their like wedge fit or their web fit for wedges. And I did it on their website just because I was on my computer, and it's pretty interesting. So it kind of gave me a little side by side of like kind of talked about my wedge game and what I do, kind of the kind of your pitching wedge distance and things like that. And then went from there, and it basically kind of gave me the side by side of like the H and the S grind for the 60. It would be interesting because I think the H grind for the 60 is 8 degrees of bounce. I think it's a little bit lower than I would like, but then it also recommended the S grind in 10 degrees, which is very similar to I have an SM10 that's kind of an S grind that's very similar that I got fit into by a person. So that's pretty cool to see that. That kind of shown up there, because I think that would be actually a really good. I think a 60S and a 56. I mean, the H is really good. I'd probably keep the H in the 56. I mean, realistically, it was a lot better than I thought. I mean, I could definitely do probably the B grind as well. It recommended the W grind because I do play in softer conditions and I hit some steeper shots. But yeah, I mean, it basically recommended me a 50S grind, which I mean, 50s and 46s and 48s or whatever, they only make certain ones. So the S grind, the 50S, a 54W. Which I've played W grind style wedges before and actually had some success with them, so that's not too far off. And then a 60H grind. So like I said, I play 50, 56, 60, but this is pretty similar to I think what I would actually play out there. So pretty interesting. Really, like I said, really impressive. The wedges, they go everywhere from 46 degrees down to 62 degrees. So depending on what you're looking for, you have a wide range of options, especially when you start getting into like the 56 and the 60s and the 58s. There's a lot of soul grind options out there that you can select from. So yeah, I mean, go to ping.com, check out all the different options, but the S159 irons or wedges are really solid. They did a really nice job with these, and yeah, I'm excited to play them some more. I definitely want to get them out to my Bella Vista, my St. Clair Shores, my places I play all the time, that I kind of know the shots around there and kind of know how they play. I'm excited to go hit them out there and try them. So yeah, go to ping.com, check out the S159s. A ton of options out there for you. So again, if it was something where Ping before didn't offer something that fits your game, they may now offer it because there's a lot of different options out there for these wedges. So yeah, check them out. And yeah, that's all I've got. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, whatever. I would love it. Wherever you're listening to this, whatever podcast platform, please like, subscribe, whatever you do. I know there's different options, but I would love it. And then, if you want to follow me on Instagram at Club Junkie Pod, we'll do some Q&A, some lives, post some stuff. It's a whole lot of fun. So anyway, before we go, just want a reminder, episode brought to you by Titleist and the Pro V1 and Pro V1X. If you're looking for more penetrating ball flight, short with low, long game spin, but still drop and stop control, check out the Pro V1. If you're looking for a little higher ball flight, slightly more spin on the long game, still tons of spinner on the green, Pro V1X, that's the ball I usually play. But go to Titleist.com, check out the Pro V1 and Pro V1X. That's all I've got. Let's have a great weekend. Play some golf if you can. I don't think I'm going to be able to. I think it's going to rain all weekend, but we'll still hit some balls and stuff like that. So have a good weekend. We'll talk to you guys next week.